Homicide 1914. The case of 26-year-old Julia Decies. Julia Decies was convicted of the attempted murder of a man. She shot him with a revolver and attempted to cut his throat with a knife in the early hours of the 15th of January 1914. Julia Decies was described as being a well-dressed, attractive-looking young woman and as being independent of West Kensington mansions in North End Road, West Kensington. It was heard that she shot him after he had taunted her over another girl. Julia Decies' servant said that she had been employed by Julia Decies since July 1913, when Julia Decies had lived in Kew. She said that around September 1913 they moved to West Kensington, and that about a fortnight after the man started visiting Julia Decies and visited her nearly every weekend. The servant said that Julia Decies and the man were on friendly terms, but said that Julia Decies often told her that the man had taunted her about some other girl, and that the man used to live on her when he had no money. The servant said that on the night of Wednesday the 14th of January 1914, that Julia Decies and the man appeared friendly, and that they had been dressed and gone out. The servant said she had gone to bed by the time they returned, but was woken up about 3 a.m. by the smashing of some glass. She said that she then heard a noise, but was too frightened to go down, but then heard knocking at her door and went out into the kitchen and turned on the light and saw Julia Decies and the man by the dresser. She said that the man was holding Julia Decies down and that he then handed her a revolver, saying, "She has tried to shoot me." She said that Julia Decies was lying on her back and that the man was bending over her and had his hand on her shoulder, and they were both covered with blood. She said that she then took the revolver and put it outside the door, and said that when she went back she saw the man was still holding Julia Decies down, and that she was very quiet, and that as she was going for a doctor she noticed Julia Decies had a knife, which she said was an ordinary table knife. She said that the man said to her, "She has a knife," and that he tried to get it from her, but that Julia Decies put it behind her back. The servant said that she then went off for a doctor, and that when he came she went off for the police. The doctor, who lived in North End Road, West Kensington, said that his night bell rang about 3 a.m. on the 15th of January 1914, and that he then went to the flat with the servant girl, where he found the man kneeling over Julia Decies in the kitchen, holding her down by her wrists. He said that Julia Decies was sitting with her feet extended in front of her in a nightdress, and that the man was in his pyjamas, and that they were both covered with blood, and that their clothing was saturated. He said that the man then said, "This woman has shot me," and that he was afraid to let her go, as she was guilty, and that he then told the servant to go off for the police. The doctor said that as he began to attend to Julia Decies, the man said to him, "There is nothing the matter with her. I am the injured person." The doctor said that he then asked for the revolver, and said that the man told him that he didn't know where it was, and that he was feeling cold. The doctor said that he then told the man to go to bed, and that when he later went to see him he found him wrapped up in blankets. He said that he noticed that the man had a wound over his left eye, and said that he saw that his throat was cut. He said that the man had 2 cuts to his throat, as well as a cut to the right side of his mouth. The doctor also noticed that the man had cuts on his fingers, but said that they were all of a superficial nature. He said that he then stopped the bleeding from the wounds, and then looked about for a key for the room, and when he found one, he locked the man in the room and went back to see Julia Decies. The doctor said that when he went back to look at Julia Decies, that she was still sitting in the same position in the kitchen, and said that when he asked her why she had done it, that she told him that the man had been very unkind to her and had made her life miserable. He said that she then added that the man had hit her on the head, but said that when he examined her at the spot she pointed to, he could find no wounds. Julia Decies was convicted for wounding with intent to murder at the Central Criminal Court and sentenced to 7 years penal servitude. However, she appealed, stating that she had received great provocation, and that at the time she had committed the act, she was in such a state of mind that she could not appreciate the consequences of her act. It was heard that the man had taunted her about his relations with the other woman, and that had infuriated her, and that had formed in her mind a combination of extreme jealousy and despair. The defence at her appeal stated that the difficulty in the case had been that at the last moment at the trial that Julia Decies would not go into the witness box, although it had been expected that she would do so. The Lord Chief Justice that heard the case said that it was obviously a determined and premeditated attempt, and that the jury had been unable to do as Julia Decies' counsel had asked them to do and return a verdict of unlawful wounding, and that it was not surprising that the judge, however sorry he might have felt for Julia Decies, felt that her act merited the sentence he passed on her, and he then refused her application for appeal.